When he was born, 27th of February, 1951, wasn't he? Boing! I remember.
I don't remember. It has to be back in my Tykes Liquor days. It was Bob, Raleigh, me, and Jerry riding in my Toyota Corolla, which you can tell was packed pretty tight. And we were up, I think, Grossmont College playing racquetball or something. We're all coming down Broadway. And Raleigh was in, I think he was in the front seat with me. And he lets out this belch that, besides being loud, it stunk so bad that I had to pull the car over on the Broadway and all of us jump out of the car gasping for fresh air. So I think between that end and the other end, I think all Liebernets have kind of a distinctive smell. And I swear, even I can smell sometimes and think, that's Dad.
We went from Jefferson to Casa Grande, Arizona, from there back to Belmont, Iowa, and his granddad was in tire business with Uncle Wilbur. And then we went back to Jefferson, and then we came out here.
He was working down at a gas station down on Main Street, and had his motorcycle. So I must have been in the 6th grade, somewhere in there, and couldn't wait to go to work with him. I'd go out and I'd hose down out by the pumps or whatever just to get a ride on the motorcycle with him and stuff. So he'd go and he'd work down there late, and I remember riding with him, and it was really cold.
He was just Scott's older brother, and he had already graduated. The only time I remember ever hearing about him was, I believe I was in Algebra 2, sophomore year, and there was a lot of buzz going around because he'd been in a motorcycle accident. And we were to pray for him. I didn't know who he was or anything, but I just knew it was Scott's brother. And at that point in time, I just had a crush on Scott.
He was a boy.
He was
all boy. His dad's boy. Oh, I don't know, not a whole lot. He just grew up like everybody else. He was good to take care of the other 3 after he had them. He was a good sitter.
When I was going to be a freshman in high school, he took me and we started working out for football. And, I think he was leaving. He was going up to Grossmont. I was coming into Granite Hills. And he worked out with me all summer, doing exercises as an 8th grader I've never done in my life before, and got me ready to play. And it was really cool. I really remember that. And which is the same thing that I've been doing with the kids and trying to pass on as well. So as far back as I can remember, it's probably just 12, 13, something like that. I'm lucky I can remember that for it.
I think the coolest thing probably was when after we moved out to California, I was in junior high, he was in high school playing on the football team. And I thought that was cool because he was this huge, big guy. And I think you've seen a picture where he's holding both Jerry and I on his shoulders. And we were like these little runty little kids, and he was just huge. And it was just cool, having that huge big brother.
Yeah, I remember him sticking his tongue on a flagpole once in freezing cold weather. He'll remember that. Let's see, what else? I remember him picking me up the first time I fell on my bicycle and carrying me home. And it was all boys I was with, and he was my hero. He's still my hero.
And he took care of him.
Yeah.
Just like an old grandpa. And he still does.
I just remember all the way back when I was in high school and I was driving Scott's car, and the car blew up, and he was the first one to bail me out at 2 o'clock in the morning and push me home in an old van of his that he drove from Beer King. And
just like Jerry said, the one thing that comes to mind, and this was more recent, that my car wouldn't start. I was out somewhere and my car wouldn't start, and I don't know, Jerry was probably out of town. And I think your dad was the first person I thought of to call, of course.
Yeah, and I think you notice that still whenever our family gets together, as old as we get, we fall into this sibling order thing where he's always the big brother. And I think, like I said, when he was so much bigger than us, and going through school, then like he was a math, he was good in math, I was good in math. So I was always like, oh, you're Raleigh's little brother, which I thought was always pretty cool that, he kind of broke the ice, and it's like Billy following Nick, that I felt known to people because he had been there, and everybody liked him. He never didn't get along with anybody, so it was real easy following him. It was pretty cool. And then we both went into math. It was pretty neat.
I met Dad 34 years ago. He was my brother's best friend, and I was about 13, and he of course was older and wiser at 16. And after my brother went away to be in the Navy, he still hung around, and I forced him to take me out.
It's fine with me, but I didn't know her at all.
Really?
I never knew of her at all, hardly at all. Because, you know, I never saw her. Never was around your family, so.
Huh.
No. Then he got married and had 2 kids, and now he's a grandpa, and he's mighty proud, isn't he?
Because Sandy Weslowski and Cindy Weslowski were sisters, and I was best friends with Cindy. So whenever he'd call Sandy, then I'd go home, because I know if she turned him down that he might call me. And then I invited him to the Christmas dance in December of 1971.
I remember before I had kids, and Raleigh did. You know, he was kind of first in everything. And there'd be a party planned or some kind of outing, and the people without kids would kind of insinuate the kids weren't invited. And I remember very distinctly Raleigh saying, if my kids can't come, I'm not going. And I used to think, pardon me, Raleigh, what an ass. You know, like, you know, why can't you leave it, you know, because I didn't have any yet then. And I think as a role model, then as as I had kids, it's very much the same attitude, you know, that he kind of instilled this family attitude that, you know, and I remember him, you know, saying that, you know, if my kids can't come, I'm not going. And he's been that way his entire life.
I had the wedding of my life, the only one I ever planned on having. And Raleigh and I planned it all together, and we took care of all the details. We did our own flowers with lots of help from the family. And while I was stuck in the room getting dressed, waiting for his father to get there, he was out front greeting everybody, having a gay old time. And he hooked up the microphone to the flowers, so we do have a tape recording of our wedding. Of course, video wasn't available at the time, so we have a tape recording of our wedding.
Well, he was in the cement business with Tony Demopoulos for a while, and he worked in a Beer King. I forget what the guy's name was, Paul something. And then he went to teaching school. Guy's been teaching school 26, 27 years. Getting to be an old man.
Kathy was at one of her staff parties, and the place that it was at, there were 4 or 5 girls, there were high school girls. They were having some kind of party too, and the kids were talking about their teachers. And one somehow it says, "Oh, I have Mr. Lieb," and another one says, "Oh, I have Mr. Lieb," and "Oh, my Mr. Lieb is better than your Mr. Lieb," and they start arguing back and forth over who's the coolest teacher. And I think it's pretty neat that, you know, both of us have a personality that kids, you know, really like, they really get along with, and they defend us. You know, they get into places where they talk about their math teacher, and that's pretty cool. It's pretty neat to be liked by the kids.
Cool. Well, Jesse was due close to Dad Libernet's birthday, August 15th, I believe, and his birthday's the 16th. And on the 11th, I woke up with a backache. And the refrigerator man was out in the garage, so Raleigh had to tell him to leave because he thought his wife might be in labor. And we went to the hospital, Elkhorn Valley, which isn't there anymore, and got there around 10:30, 11 o'clock, and Jesse was born at 2:50. And when you have children, there's nothing that can compare. And we both sat there and cried as she was born.
Is when I broke my arm two blocks roughly from the house, and our parents had just gotten back from, Mom and Dad just got back from Las Vegas, I believe. We'd stayed at Grandma C's, and they picked us up and we went riding. It was my first time around the block on a big old 10-speed, and I fell and didn't realize I broke my arm, but had to started walking my bike home thinking I was alright. Duke decided I wasn't alright and ran his bike home first, and came walking through the door and went in, got a drink of water, went to the bathroom, and finally Mom and Dad said, "Where's Jessie?" "Oh yeah, she's hurt." So Dad comes racing in the good old-fashioned Aerostar and saw me walking the bike, threw the bike in the back of the Aerostar and gave me this huge hug, and probably hurt my arm, you know, from there, but it was already broken. And when we got to the hospital and decided that, you know, a warm washer, I really wouldn't fix this one, that they told me, yeah, that it's definitely broken. I think Dad cried more than I did, but that was okay.
Yeah, Raleigh, if you don't know by now, you are my brother-in-law, like it or not, which at the beginning, no, you didn't like, so. But I think we have a pretty good relationship now, and as far as how I would describe you is somebody that is always willing to be there, no matter what the cause or problem might be. I think that would be the best thing that I could say about you, that you're always so willing to give a helping hand to whoever. It doesn't matter if it's family or not.
Honorary grandparents is a good term. He gave Paul his first hammer. He just, when Kyle and when AJ were born, they were just always giving gifts, and I think he loves the boys just as much as if they were his own grandkids. It's been nice.
January 18th, I believe it was, the 18th of January, '99. I went over there with the ring in hand. Jessica was going to meet me at the gym, and so I went over there and knocked on the door, and Raleigh answered, and first thing he said to me was, "Well, Jesse's not here." I said, "Well, I know that, can't come in." He said, "Sure." To this day, I don't know if he knew, but I had a feeling he did. And I walked in, and I just busted out the ring box, opened it, and I just showed it to him. That's all he did. And he looked at it, and he said, "Wow." I said, "What do you think?" He said, "I think," he said, "that's pretty nice." And so I said, "I like your daughter's hand in marriage." And he said, "Sure." Something like that. And that was a really cool feeling. And then from then on, I felt like I really felt like the rest of the family had given us the blessing, given me the blessing.
At my wedding, Dad made me cry all over the place.
How come?
Because he's awesome.
What did he do at your wedding?
Everything for us. And I thought it was great. Makes me cry. And then we had Justin and Jesse, and now Justin is bugging me.
He didn't come early like Jesse, a nice week early. Justin decided to show up 2.5, 3 weeks late. And when I went into labor with Justin, we of course stopped at Winchell's so that Raleigh could get donuts because it was the middle of the night. And after very difficult couple of hours, it wasn't a long labor, but it was a difficult couple of hours, they were finally able to turn him, and he was born at 7:30 in the morning. And being the first grandson, we named him Justin Duke, middle name he got from his grandfather, who was of course waiting outside eating donuts that Raleigh had bought.
I guess it was Thanksgiving of 2000, and Jesse and I both found out we were pregnant, and we were going to tell the family. I don't know if we planned on telling them that day or if it was just in the court between then and Christmas. And Uncle Raul had just found out about Jesse and in the process about me. And nobody else really knew except our parents and obviously our husbands. And when he prayed for Thanksgiving dinner, he thanked God for new lives in the family. And everybody, after he said amen, everybody kind of looked up at us and wondered who it was that was pregnant. And anyways, it was just a really special way to announce to the family, unexpected, and something I'll always remember.
I've never really had like a grandpa that I knew, and like my most recently deceased grandpa died when I was only in 2nd grade, so I never really knew what that was like. And I think like for me at least, he kind of took that role for just like always. I mean, family was always number one, and you get to know him like that, and he always put himself out there and was there for you in that way. And like you could always tell that was his first priority, was our extended family. So I always really appreciated that. One word that describes your dad.
One word, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I can't only come up with one word.
Well, does it have to be good or bad?
I need 2 or 3.
Okay. Thought about this last night, and I would say
Loyalty.
giving. Been very giving of his time and
Loving or caring.
First word is generous. He's generous to a fault.
Generous. Generous.
I would say family.
okay.
Second word, I believe my husband's already mentioned, which is family. And third word, which is just between Raleigh and I, is he's stubborn.
Actually, friend.
He's very helpful, energetic.
Kind.
And grandpa.
think of when you think of Uncle
Cool.
Rob? Oh, there.
My math teacher.
A leader.
Awesome. Compassionate.
All around good guy, I guess.
You're nobody till somebody loves you. You're nobody till somebody cares. You may be king, you may possess the world and its gold, but gold won't bring you happiness when you're growing old. The world still is the same, you never change it. As sure as the stars shine above, you're nobody till somebody loves you. So find yourself somebody to love. Is the same, you never change it. As sure as the stars shine above, well, you're nobody till somebody loves you. So find yourself somebody to